So like I said, we're looking to start moving into After Effects. In the project, today, what we're going to look at is, let's see, a couple things that I will plan to look at with you is the style of one panel in Photoshop. That was our last major deadline, just making sure that everything is set up correctly there. We also had an accessibility check, which that was due on Wednesday. And so these were the checklist, and I'll go over that with you today. And then in addition to that, we are starting to move into this link here. So this says After Effects How To. So there's like going to be a lot of video instructions for you moving forward. This one is one of those videos that's a long video that goes through step by step what you would need to do for this specific project of how to make an animated GIF. But there's a lot of other small videos that I'll be bringing to your attention as we move forward here. So just want to introduce you to what we're going to look at. There's this. Please also see the technical guidelines. That is a different link on the sidebar, technical guidelines. This has many of the tutorials, other help. Not all of these are required for your project, but if you're looking for how do I loop an animation? How do I do multiplane? There's a lot of information about how to do stuff in that. There's the two things that I have bolded here. The first step, bringing Animate into After Effects. PSD is not very different. And Animation Basics and importing. These two are really very important videos for you to get ready to do work in After Effects. Have any of you done work in After Effects yet?
For this project, no, but I know After Effects.
Okay, and Grace, you've done work in After Effects before?
Yeah.
So it will be a lot of redundancy for you though. And if you're feeling super confident, I just want to remind you that please make sure that you have your folders set up in such a way that when we work in After Effects, let me kind of use a visual here. Got some sticky notes. If you've got a folder for After Effects and your Photoshop files all need to live inside of them. That's really important, that they're not floating around somewhere on your desktop. They have to be inside that folder. Otherwise, it won't link properly. So that's one of the key to that. Is that something that you already understand, Grace?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know exactly that you needed that, but I figure it's probably good to have your assets in one place.
Okay. Then I think that I really want you to at least watch these videos at like 2 speed or something so you can listen to what I'm going to instruct you on them, okay? For the rest of you, these are the 2 main videos that we'll be using for this project. And if I go to this After Effects How To, it has the same penguin video on it. But I do want to go over with you just in person right now what's needed for the technical requirements and things like that. So we're using Photoshop for imaging and text layout. If you're using Clip, just make sure that you export it out as a Photoshop file, or maybe you're using ArtRage or something else. Please make sure that you export it out as a Photoshop file. We'll be using After Effects for animation, and there is now a new method which I will have to make a video for you all on. After Effects, with their most recent update, allows for us to export GIFs out of After Effects. They've always allowed for it, but they didn't turn out so nice. They kind of looked a little janky. So the new ones that we're seeing come out of After Effects look good. So it's possible that we won't have to do this whole process that we used to do, which was export it out of After Effects, bring it into Photoshop, then export it out of Photoshop as a GIF. So I'll make some changes to the videos there. We'll be doing testing after we do the whole animation part. Be making an animated GIF. We've already talked about the flat style is needed, but I'll be checking that because if you start using a lot of gradients or textures, they don't come out as well in an animated GIF. This is our file naming convention and deliverables list. I've talked about the After Effects folder and the way that it functions. I'll want you to put the entire After Effects folder in the drive. If you don't have the PSD or PNGs, you link to, it will not function when sharing. So let me show you what these kind of folders look like. In After Effects, let's see. Let's just take a look at Kate Verellen's file folder here. So here's Kate Verellen's folder. There's the After Effects file, and this is the Photoshop file. So most of you are working in that Photoshop file, but there may be some things that happen where you forget to have an eyebrow, or you forget to have a another version of an eye or mouth. Here's examples of PNGs that were exported out of Photoshop because it won't be able to get it from this Photoshop file. So you have to export the PNGs separate. And so these are examples of the text that came in separate and an eye and an eyebrow or something like that. So this is an example of a folder that is containing all of the elements. Now, when we're working on team projects, it becomes really complicated. If the folder elements don't contain it, it's going to end up with this kind of rainbow television screen, like when you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and the TV's still on and it's kind of looks like a rainbow. Doesn't happen so much anymore, but that's what happens when we don't have the links of the file. We'll say that everything's missing. So you're going to put a folder in here when it's finally time for you to upload. And then we're going to put the GIFs in this section. Here's some information about publishing. And so this is going to be later on in that process. There are some videos of me working with the last semester's students so that it could help you to understand what it's like to transfer the Photoshop file over to After Effects. So these videos are here. This video that talks about how to parent objects and move them together and turn objects on and off. This is me helping Juan with this, but we do have a video that's your intro video. This is sort of a troubleshooting video. So these are kind of me teaching the students. If you follow this video step by step, that's the main video that you should follow, in addition to these two that are bolded here. Okay. Any questions about that? Okay. So now let's take a look at where you are at with, well, before I do that, let me take us to the Canvas site and take a look at our timeline so that you have an understanding of what's coming up. Okay. So today's the 6th. Your goal was to have all your art assets done in your Photoshop file and rendered and properly named. So that's one of the things that I'm going to review with you today. So please open your Photoshop file. You'll be sharing your file with me and I'll take a look at it. The accessibility check, many of you have entered that into the slideshow. So add a slide with your text on the slideshow. I'll be reviewing that with you today also. And oops. On the 9th, this is where you're really going to be starting your learning process. So on this calendar, I've given this, which is sort of, it's not an assignment so much as just a reminder of what you should be learning, which is kind of what I went over just now. After Effects intro, see all those tutorials, setting up layers, not folders from Photoshop. And this is kind of a reminder, you'll see it in the video. It's really important to, when you're working with your characters right now in Photoshop, they may be in these folders like this. You need to get rid of the folders in Photoshop and just have individual layers for each one of these. That's gonna be the final method of bringing them into After Effects. And things will need to be all flattened out. And you'll see that in the videos that I have posted. You'll import your Photoshop file into After Effects, you'll parent assets, and make sure that all files are in the After Effects animation folder. AE means After Effects. So these are the 2 links that I was sharing with you earlier. See the technical guidelines and then how to use After Effects for this project. There's lots of tutorials to help you with this. Email me if you get stuck or confused. This is a really new phase of working, and I'm here for you this week to kind of work through that. So clicking on these, like I said, these 2 videos that are bolded are important there. And the how to use After Effects for this project, this one. This is also the technical guidelines. Okay. And then we'll start blocking our animation, and that's going to be due on Wednesday. And we'll review that on Friday with you. So if you come on Friday, my Friday team, ready to have your animation blocked and any kind of technical questions, we'll review that on Friday. Okay. Even some of my language may sound confusing right now, but if you watch the videos, I'm hoping that will help you as you work kind of asynchronously with me. Okay, so let's take a look at your project and where you're at with it. If you don't have it on the slideshow, we can look at it on your screen. So I'm going to open up the process slideshow. And let's see who's here. Grace. It's looking really nice. So you've been making more assets, Grace?
Yeah, I've just been going through them scene by scene. So these are, you wanted examples of text, so I
Yeah.
put those on there.
Can you all still see my screen? I just put it in present.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they look like they'll be accessible. So fantastic.
Sweet.
Anna, what do you think about the text choice that Grace has?
I think it really matches the like the character style, because the characters are all like bubbly and kind of like smooth outlines.
Yeah.
And the text like has that same outline feel.
Yeah, it's really cute. It feels connected with the same kind of width and the roundness to it, the way that it rounds off here. So yes, very good job. I like this kind of texture that you're getting on this edge here. That's kind of nice as a background look. So yeah, good job with that. Let's go back. These are, you had last time put the hearts on the book and made them more illusion of space, right? So that looks great. Okay, fantastic. And Cameron's not here, but Cameron, if you're watching this video, this text also looks like Grace's, it connects well. I would recommend it going a little bit larger though, would be my recommendation. China's not here. That text looks large enough at this point. Kai is not here. And I would say to Kai that this is not high enough contrast. We need 5:1 contrast on the text to the background. And so maybe do you guys think if Kai just tries it black, would that work?
I think making the speech bubble itself white and
Mhm.
then have the text be black would pretty much solve that issue.
Yeah, you could use even like a brown if you want to have like color up in there. It doesn't have to be all the way to black. But I think your idea is good. Yeah, switch it around. We just need to see it more. And I think also we need to make them a little bit larger for more accessibility. And Karen's not here right now, but Anna is. So Anna, in terms of accessibility,
That's
the,
actually the old slide. If you want to go down.
go down. That would be here. Do I need to refresh it? Oh, I see, because Jen's got one in between. Let me just move this around. Okay. And I'll present. Oh, good. Right.
Oh, I was
That-
muted.
That
Okay,
looks
now I'm
higher
muted.
contrast than what you had before. So
Mhm.
good. And look at the new stylization. Wow.
Yeah, it was like I couldn't stand the last version of them. It was just
Uh-huh.
not me. So I redid all the characters.
Wow. So previously the colors, we had talked about combining colors so that they would be more connected as one person. And
Mhm.
when you did this, I think it really makes that point. So what do you think about that approach, Anna?
I do like this much better than the last one. Just how
Uh-huh.
everything kind of fits together and there's not really like breaking up of the shapes.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's easy to understand who is who from each frame.
Right, because yellow carries over to yellow.
Mhm.
Yeah, Jen, what do you think about the new style that Anna has done here? Jen, I think you're muted.
Oh my God, I was like
There you go.
rambling on.
Okay, now we can hear you.
I like the code it reminds me of like code colors from like Teen Titans, like you know how red is Robin and blue is Cyborg and stuff. It's really cool. I like that effect. Like each person has like their own color and style.
Mhm.
It's very vibrant and easy to diverse them.
Mhm.
Yeah, it is the image of diversity. You also have different body types. So just a huge congrats to you on pushing your style further. I know that there's a lot of work into this now because you have many drawings done. So good
Mhm.
job. Okay. Let's see. So congratulations to you. So Jen, this was probably your first one here, and then this is your new one.
I just added like my progress if you want to refresh it.
Okay,
Oh, there it is.
it's there now. Okay. Okay, we'll just hit present on this.
Yeah. I'm working on like colors and designs for the second panel and then drawing the third, and I'm working on the fourth one right now.
Okay, yeah. So you're also playing with color shifts here. This is the same. They're wearing the same outfits though. Are you just trying out different colors? Oh, this is an accessibility check here. This is the color blindness check.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Yeah, just to
actually
see
what
the
you're doing.
diverse of the colors.
Right. Because you have the very neutral gray background, almost any color is going to pop off from it. So it's functioning. Yeah, it's interesting because this is being read as sort of like a red color, but red often doesn't give us colorfulness when we go to the accessibility, but because it's got a tint of orange, it's able to look yellow. So good job. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
And so this is the next day where they're in a different outfit, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And then this is the next day.
Yeah, and then I'm working on the final day, and then the final panel with her pointing to herself saying "on me." I just had to go through Pinterest and find the styles and colors.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Find different outfits of
Mhm.
different teams. Yeah, nice. Well, the art is looking good. I like being able to see the text larger on this hipster, the way you have it.
Mhm.
I do think that there needs to be a little bit less space in between and hipster here.
Okay.
Probably read to right about here is where that H should go. Kind of the same spacing as here, but not quite as big as that. So that's just a kind of a quick shift.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Grace, what do you think about where Jen is headed with this one?
Yeah, I'm really liking how it's looking. I wish the screenshots were just a little bit clearer, but I know that's not really indicative of the work itself. But yeah, overall, I think that I really am enjoying how the shading is looking. And I think I don't know if you've made any changes to the font since the last time that we talked, but it is looking clearer. So whatever is going on, I think it's working.
Right. Awesome. Yeah, I made it a different font. I made it a little bigger.
This
And that's
one
why-
you did? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why I made it like the monochromatic and made it a little smaller, so it'll be like easier to read when you're a little.
Did you
farther
end
away.
up bringing the people down or not?
Just a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This font works really well with that. So that's good. I know that you're going to play with a lot of different fun fonts, right? Depending. So we'll just have to check each one of them. But yeah, good work. I always love, I mean, I think that it's really working well to have the gray and the color. I think that helps push this idea of accessible design. So good work.
Thank you.
And Nicole is not here. I think Nicole, we had work, this is probably not Nicole's most recent. We had wanted to go with lighter color here. And I'm pretty sure that there's a more recent one that I'm working on with Nicole on. And Michaela's is looking fantastic. That will pass accessibility, Kayla, and we wanted that to go to bluish. But that's all that we have here. So for the three of you that are with us today, congrats, you're passing accessibility. I'm wondering if for Anna's, if you go a little bit lighter on the speech bubble, like actually like push that speech bubble out a little bit more by having it be like a tone of lightness, kind of like what we have in Jen's, if that would make it more readable.
Yeah, that'll be really easy to do.
Yeah. And then by making that, let me present it again. This could be, you could pick up on this tone with this dark color and have it be light behind here. What do you think, Jen, on that?
Wait, what was the suggestion? Sorry.
To have it be lighter in the speech bubble and have the line be darker like the words are.
Yeah, I agree. It feels like it's like really blended in a little bit in the background.
Mm-hmm. So Anna, are these all separated? And this goes to all of you. Have you all separated your layers? That's one of the things that we're going to look at today.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, so let's take a look at your files for separation and see how that's coming along. I'll stop my share, and who would like to go first? So we have Anna's file here, and can you take your layers and kind of bring them out into that main thing so we can see them really big? Another thing that you could do is get rid of this color thing and just bring this up.
Pull this over.
Yeah.
That.
Okay, cool. So when you scroll down on these, are these all set up with just one? Okay, so you have a group. What's in this group?
That would be each panel has
Okay.
its own
Okay.
group. This is just an open group. So it looks like that.
Okay. So that makes sense when we're doing like a comic. What we want to start to do is have the yellow person have their head in different poses.
Mhm.
So you would have the head on one. So you would have yellow and then head, neck. Oops, I just unannotated. Neck, body, something like that.
Mhm.
And so you'll have to go and grab them as we start to prep for the animation. You have to grab them from all of these groups and then put them into this layer setup.
Mhm.
Before you do that, though, you should save as this file, right? This is like your working file.
Mhm.
So working, and then I like to call another one animation prep
Mhm.
file. And
Mhm.
that animation prep file is where you do all of this stuff.
Yeah, because this is just more of a like a compiling, because I did
Mhm.
each of these panels in a separate file.
Yep,
And I believe within the group, there's just like
great.
it's already labeled, so that'll just be
Mhm.
really easy to pull out.
Mhm. Stay right there for right now. Can you open up group 2?
Mhm.
So like who is head 1? If you eyeball that off, who is that? Oh,
That would
that's the
be
yellow. Yeah.
yep.
So I want you to go through and rename like
Mhm.
this,
Yeah.
yellow head.
They all used to be in like individual color groups, but then
Mhm.
something with how I brought them over, they didn't stay in their original groups, so I've just got to go through and do that again.
Okay. Yeah, it's just a little bit of technical work, but it will really, really help you. So the way that I'm kind of showing you right now is in Photoshop, I would start by doing it like this in these layers, but
Mhm.
eventually you want to not have any folders at all, because when you bring in folders into After Effects, they make what we call pre-comps, and that makes it more complicated than it needs to be when you bring them in that way. So you will end up bringing these all out of the folder into the
Okay.
main timeline, kind of like how, well, you just would grab all of these and bring
Mhm.
them above the folder, and that's the way that you work it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to screenshot that or anything out, Anna?
Yeah, I'll do that really quick.
Okay. So first you're just going to make these adjustments to the text, just that highlight right here, right? And that's really sort of the only visual thing. In terms of your animation plan, do you have all of the assets that you would need?
Yep, that was one of the things I was going through while I was making it, and just kind of like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Can you zoom in on that panel for me?
Mm-hmm.
And does the girl's eyes like shut at all? Do you have states for open eye, shut eye at all? Or
Can't remember
do you
on
not
this.
need it?
I can't remember on this one if I needed it or not, and I
Mm-hmm.
think I was also debating on would her eyes look weird if she blinked with a mask on,
Mm-hmm.
and how would I show that?
I don't think that you need it, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
But if we were to do it, it would be like this. It would be yellow eye open, yellow eye closed. That would be kind of the way that you would write it. And then yellow face
Mm-hmm.
would be underneath it.
Yeah, I think I'll probably go with just leaving them open, because I
Mhm.
don't think the panel's really that long anyways, so I don't think it necessarily needs a blink in it.
Sure. So then you just have yellow face, the hair, if it's not moving,
Mm-hmm.
all of it will be just exactly the way that you have it, really.
Mm-hmm.
So what will you be animating? Or are you just kind of like turning things on in your piece?
I think some of them have arm movements in them, like they'll
Okay.
kind of like move up or down depending on what they're doing. And
Like that
then
arm up there, or
yes, yep. And
okay.
then I think I'll probably be I think there's mouth movements maybe for some of them, but I've got to figure out how to, represent syllables, I suppose.
Oh, well, they're called phenoms. Um, they're not necessarily needed all the time. Let me show you the phenom page. Let me share my screen. phenom animation chart. Okay. So, I mean, you're going to be able to find a lot of them. So, E, I, O, U. This is with the teeth in front. La, this is the tongue in front. But basically, for what we're doing, you might not even need any open and closed mouths because we're not really doing lip syncing. There's actually no noise happening with the piece. So if you just do the ah and the resting, these don't actually have restings, which is just a closed mouth. That usually works just fine. But you'll see there's, if you do your research, you'll see there's a lot of different examples of the ways that it's done. And I'm sure that I've actually got something on the DLC or something for it too, but there's many places that you can look for. This is actually a pretty good one for what we're doing and your style, where it's pretty simple. So yeah.
Do you think all of the mouths should be in sync? Or will that should I have them off by just a fraction? You know what I'm saying? Because if they're all in sync, it'll look maybe a little robotic.
Well, it's something we can try when we get into animating it. What we do in animation is we like to do what we call blocking. So once we get into the animation planning, let me show you this here. We set up in our timeline. These are all different layers. Can you see it? Okay, so we just all at the same time. So that's how we would block it first. So not like one first and then the next and then the next. Our eyes can only focus on so much at a time. So we'll do the blocking first. We'll test it, see if it works, and then if we need to adjust it. And that's what we'll do for next class is we'll just block in your scenes. So for all of you, like this is on a scene, you really only need to have these blocked where it's like, where are the people on the stage? That's what I want you to have blocked with the assets turned on where they are. Do you have any more questions for me, Anna, on your file? I think it's set up really well. I just dropped my cat.
That's about all I can think of. Knowing about the phenom charts, excuse me, are going to be really helpful.
And don't make too many. You really can. For this, you just need a open and closed, really, but it will give you a sense of it. So the which is so it's A-E-I. E is like a super stretched out one. It's really one of the most fun ones, but it kind of looks weird if you go from E to rest, which is what we do. So yeah, okay. All right, great. Let's have someone else go next. Jen, do you want to go next?
Sure. I was in the process of organizing my layers too, so how about that? It was so hectic before they weren't matching up. I'll open.
Well, do you want to have Grace go first?
No, I got it. I'm ready.
Okay.
I just gotta name them like a little bit smarter. Yeah. Let me just try to close them. This is panel. Pretty much panel 1 is done. And I have them all like, so this is the dialogue, this is the boy, this is the girl. And then when I go to After Effects, the head is like its own thing, and I'll move the pivot down. The outfit is one thing.
Slow down, go back up to that head and pivot it again. Turn it up, turn it. So go ahead and turn it the way you did. You're doing a little test. So what we're seeing is there's some brokenness there. And that's why we do these tests. So the hair got broken right there. And it also
that's why I made it into a layer underneath. So if I do like, I can move them now.
So turn the head eyeball off, and I'll show you what you need. You just need to finish that.
Okay.
And that's what everybody will need to do. All of those little pieces need to get finished before you bring it in. Now, if you see that you have a broken file when you're in After Effects, it's easy enough to fix, but it's best to do it first.
Right.
If we're in After Effects and we need to go fix something, then we just click on a layer and we click the letter E. The letter E, like elephant, is what I just try to remember it by, takes us back to Photoshop and back into that file, right into that layer, and we can make that change. You hit save, then you go back to After Effects and it just kind of blinks that hair back on. So you would just paint that
That's so
hair,
cool.
save it, and then it comes back on because it's all linked, and that's why we need to have all the folders in.
Okay. I didn't know that there was like a hotkey to go back into After Effects that way.
E.
I mean, go back.
Yeah,
into
once we started remembering that, it really makes it a lot easier. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I'm gonna try that.
So yeah, looking at your layers too, you know how I just told Anna to set up the layer folders. Right now you're in panels, which is a good way to kind of think in the beginning, but I want you to start thinking of them as characters. So you have girl, so girl head, girl eye, girl neck. So you need to start to kind of give the girl all the stuff, and then the boy. From all the panels will come into there. So outfit 1, outfit 2, etc. is all underneath him so that he just gets all that stuff turned on.
Right.
Okay. Good. And so just keep doing that, those move tests. Do you have to make some more of those fixes too, Jen?
Well, mostly with the girl because she has longer
Mhm.
hair. He doesn't really need any
And
that extra layers.
does
But yeah.
his neck go above?
Showing hot. Oh, I have to make a layer for this too. This should be the whole head. But that's his neck. I
Yeah,
have
so
to
you
close
gotta,
that.
yeah, so you just need to like fill that up. So that's a part of the job. We gotta just remember that if we have heads, and yours is actually a good example, your necks need to go underneath it
Mhm.
if we're gonna move them, otherwise they'll break. Good. It's looking fantastic. So it's just a matter of making sure that it's rigged right and in those layers.
Mhm.
So one thing that I'm noticing for yours is you're at 1920 by 1920. That's what I've told you to do, which is why I want you to all save out a file that's the Photoshop file, okay, with all of your panel folders like that, okay?
Yeah.
Then you're gonna save one that's an animation ready,
Okay.
which we're gonna do at 640 by 640. We're gonna make that way smaller, right?
And are we going to merge the layers together?
Well, you wanna merge only things that won't animate. So
Okay.
for example, if we're gonna talk about like this girl's hair and stuff, you're probably not gonna animate that, right? It's probably just her head and her hair, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas her neck is a different layer. And all of that can probably be one layer, is I think the way it could function.
Right.
But because the hair is behind that neck and you need to move it, you probably actually will have 3 layers for that. Let's see, it will be like, oops, you're moving that, not me.
Yeah. I just realized I have to make this in a different layer to the back of the
So
hair.
you've got that. You've got her head with probably these front hairs, as I would do, the front hair pieces and the hat. So that's kind of animation planning. And then behind that, you have this back hair. And that's the 3 layers that you need for your animation on this, because she's just going to turn her head a little bit. And that neck just needs to go underneath like that. Yep. So when you look at this blue, that blue is also going to go all the way back there. because it needs to overlap.
Right.
Okay, so let me get back to this idea of this size change to 640. Do me a favor right now and save your file. Go to File, Save. And I'll teach all of you guys how to save the file with a different file size. So File, Save.
Yeah,
Which
it's
you've already
already.
done. Yep. Okay, then you would go, this is when you're starting, then you would do File, Save As, and you don't need to go through this whole step at all, Jen, but just you would save it as this animation ready file. So Heroes Fight Bias, animation ready. Okay, so hit save. And then go to image size, and change inches to pixels and 640. You want this to link, or you can click it into both. Yep. And resampling is good. None of us are doing pixel-based art, but if you are, we sometimes have people doing pixel. Click on this where it says automatic. The one that says nearest neighbor hard edges is the best for pixel art, because that's going to get really hard. If you have that when you have like these nice anti-aliased edges, then it will start to go really crazy. So those are the two different ones. So automatic is good for most of the art that everybody's doing, where we're kind of more drawing based. And then you would say, okay. And it's just shrunk everything. And then you'd start to put your layers in that same way that you have. So now you have two different files, one that's an animation ready file that's smaller. We want it to be 640, not the big one.
Yeah. Because it takes longer to render if it's like super big or something.
That's right.
I
Yeah.
learned that the hard way a couple days ago.
Yeah, and since it's just a little piece. I mean, we could bring them in large into After Effects. Maybe we would just have it 1080 by 1080 instead of changing to 640, because HT format is 1920 on the bottom, 1080 on the top part. So that would be another size that would be good to do. But if you're going to do 640 by 640, just recognize that it will always have to stay very small.
Right. And I just switched back to the editing file, just so you know.
Yes, that's important to if you're going to go and do editing, which you're still at that stage right now, to work in that Photoshop file. Okay, so I think you've got it. Do you have any questions, Jen?
I'm good. Thank you so much.
Okay, yep. Let me know if you have anything that you need in the meantime after watching the videos.
Okay.
All right, so let's check out Grace's file.
Alrighty. So I haven't finished with all of the assets yet. All that's left is just the final two scenes.
Okay.
But here's what I've got so far. I'll just open up everything here.
So like with your folders, same thing for you. You want to bring them out into your characters. You understand that all the characters need to be next to each other, right? Like this kid. He would have this face, but he also has a different, like all of his eyes next to each other, even though they're right now in panels, I think. Is that right, Grace?
I don't think I fully understand here. Maybe it would help to kind of look at this one, for example.
Sure.
So the way that it works is that since I'm not having a lot of individually moving parts, the
Right,
way
you're
I've got
just
it.
doing a lot of sliding, right? Okay.
Yeah. So like, for
Uh-huh.
instance, these guys are going to be sliding to the right, obviously.
Mhm.
And everything's kind of just worked out in like 3 different levels. So like, for instance, there's all the background elements.
Mhm.
And then the boys themselves, it just has like line art
Mhm.
and then color. So there's not a lot of
Right,
parts
so
and
this line
pieces.
art and the color, so the color and the lines. before you bring it into After Effects, you want that to be merged into one.
Okay.
So like, because they're not moving at all, you'll just have this boy is all just one layer, and it's black shirt boy is probably what it is. Okay, and then so him, like, unless he's starting to eat and bringing this up and down, then this would be rigged, but I don't know if you're doing that. I think that you're just keeping them still, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Should I be having more moving parts and pieces?
Not necessarily. I think, you know, when we made your animation plan, this is where the movement is.
Mhm.
We'll be watching this. These, even though it's interesting, even though these are in our foreground, they're not moving. They're actually almost background, so that these kids can be the movement. So our eyes will pay attention to these kids moving across the stage. So we don't
Yeah,
need to move this.
I should
As soon
clarify
as you
that.
move, we start to look at it's going to be about sandwich eating, and it's supposed to be about the notebook. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that I was wondering though is like in terms of project scope, like for instance, in scene 2, the only thing that's really going to be animated is that these individual sound effects are going to appear.
oh, okay, right.
So like
So
I guess I'm just wondering if this
Yeah, keep
fits
it
the
right
project
there.
requirements.
Yeah, it does, because it will, absolutely,
Okay.
don't worry about that. For this, you really only need one ha asset, because you
Mhm.
can just turn it on multiple times, or you can have 3, but because you're gonna just turn on 1 and then 2 and then 3, are they gonna not be on at the same time?
I haven't decided yet.
Mhm.
I think originally the project or the animation plan was just that like yeah, as you said, like each one would appear and just stay there.
Okay, so if they're staying there, then you need all 3 layers
Mm-hmm.
here. Mhm. Yours is sort of like a slideshow animation. And
Yeah.
I think it's absolutely going to work. You're still moving things. You still have those kids moving across the stage and stuff. So, yeah.
Okay.
But I do see folders here. So just make sure that everything's out on the main timeline.
Yeah.
When you export, because you're in clip, so you would file save as a Photoshop file.
Yeah, which is what I've been doing.
Uh-huh. And then, but that Photoshop file needs to have the layers all just on the main timeline, no folders.
Okay.
And that's pretty important. If anybody starts bringing them in and tries to animate, you're going to have stuff that's in what's called pre-comps, and we just don't need that for this complication thing. Pre-comps help when we're doing, for example, let me tell you kind of why we would do that. A wheel. If we have a spinning wheel, we want to spin it, right?
Mhm.
So we'd have a spinning wheel. So we would set that up to be an animation. And so if it's a pre-comp, then we can take that spinning wheel animation and stick it on the car animation. So let me see, let's make a car. Where are my cars? How about my glasses case? So we've got a spinning wheel animation that's on top of the car. And now we can move the car with the spinning wheel at the same time. That's why we use pre-comps. You guys are not doing anything crazy complicated like that. So there's just no need for it. And I know that it might feel like I'm getting kind of in the weeds right now, but it's just for right now, as you all prep your files, just keeping things out in the main layers is what we want. So yeah, the art is looking fantastic on this. And I think you'll be good to go as long as you get your layers set up.
Sweet.
Yeah, I really like the art.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I was trying to pick something very simple, but you know, detailed.
Yeah, okay. So there's just 3 of you today, so I think that this was probably pretty quick. You're going to start diving into the videos, and that's going to be the key to what's happening next. And I feel like I don't want you to get confused by which videos to look at. So I'm just gonna maybe go over it one more time. Two main ones that you'll need to look at: technical guidelines on the site. This one, so if I click onto first step, bring animate into After Effects, this talks about this file setup. You really don't even need to look at this one because we're not doing animate into After Effects. If you jump right into second step, animation basics and importing, this one goes right into creating the file in Photoshop, do the rigging. This video right here talks about importing. Let me just quickly show you, like, you see how this head and the paws and the body are set up in this? That's what you'll need to have yours set up if you're going to do rigging. And Grace, we were just looking at yours. Yours has less rigging than other people's do. But Anna and Jen, you'll be more like this. And so then it talks about how you're going to go to File and import the file, and you'll import the Photoshop file. This is pretty important. Importing it with composition, retain layer sizes. This is the key to what we're doing. If you don't choose this, all of the art will land on the center point and be kind of sandwiched together. So that's incredibly important as you guys move forward. Setting up the file. And this is now set up. You can see that this layers head, paw left, paw right, body, right foot, tail. These are all coming in right from Photoshop. So you have to make sure that you name your layers in Photoshop. It looks like so far you're doing really good. You just don't want them to be called layer 0, layer 49, or something like that. They really need to be what they were. And then you can go back and forth. Remember when I said you could hit E to go back to Photoshop and make a change? If you make any changes on Photoshop, you cannot change the file layer name. It needs to still stay that same layer name. Otherwise, it won't come back into After Effects well. It has to stay that. And so this will just go through how to do it, how to parent is going to be in this animation instruction later as well. So because we'll talk about parenting in this, and that's going to be kind of the key that I want you to have your pieces ready with parenting. So on Monday, set up layers and not in folders in Photoshop, import the Photoshop file, parent your assets, and make sure that all the files are in the After Effects animation folder. So if you get through that video alone, that will really help you. It's this one right here, animation import basics. And then there's a part 2 to it, and this one covers parenting or puppeting and exporting your animation as a QuickTime. So this actually goes through like the full animation processes really quickly. This does the puppeting, which we do in this project. This exports it as a QuickTime, which is different than a GIF. You're not required to do that for this project, but it is helpful. And these 2 videos also incredibly important. This is just the kind of going over what we do. And then this is how to make an animated GIF. This is the one that's 53 minutes that goes through start to end how to do this project. Okay. Other ones that might help you. We've talked about the need for parenting in this project. Parenting has a tutorial right here that kind of helps you to see what that looks like. So that's part of what you'll want to do by next class. So this is being recorded so that you can remember this later too. I'll post this tonight at some point. All right, do any of you have questions? So let me know if you get lost with not knowing which videos to watch, or if you need help, just send me an email and I'll be able to answer either with a video or with a new video that I have to make specifically for you, or just an email answer. Sometimes works too.
Sounds good.
So, all right, I think we're all set then on this class.